Okay, so this video is going to be a very different from what I usually do. I'm going to be telling my workplace horror stories. So, let's start it off with where I began. When I worked at the SPCA, nothing really happened that comes to mind. I did get scratched by a cat. That wasn't bad. But when I was... Okay, I have a few for Upstate Dodge. Now, when I used to work at Upstate Dodge, we had this sales manager named Maddie. And I hated Maddie. So, Maddie was sleeping with one of the salesmen. Okay. And half the time, I was doing the salesman's job. Not doing the sales, but doing what he was supposed to do. Like, brush off all the snow off the vehicles in the lot. Now, this one particular day, I walked in. I did my daily duties as well. When I first started at Upstate Dodge, I was a detailer. They moved me over to being a lotman. And basically, I'm getting off track, but basically, I walked in one day. I got everything done with allotment, and typically, if I get everything done, I can leave. So I took my time. I made sure everything was good and correct, and basically, hang on, there you go. And basically, they asked me to go outside and clean all the snow off the vehicles and all that. Thing they did not tell me is that I'll be the only one out there. Now, imagine this. A whole lot... Imagine, Dodge... a Dodge... Okay. I'm sorry. But imagine a Dodge, dealership. You know, they have all their cars out. And, you know, I live in WNY. I live in Western New York. It's generally cold, snowy. You get that ice mixed, too. So, now keep in mind, I had to brush off every part of the car. The windshield, the roof, the bed, because there was trucks there. And it was like, I want to say it was like 15 degrees out. And they just gave me a snow brush. Now, thankfully, I did have gloves and a jacket in my car. And snow pants, I think. And boots. But I was the only one out there, and it was windy and cold. I think I had a Ben Cleaver on. If I'm not mistaken, I did have a Ben Cleaver on. And I was the only one out there. Now, it was windy, it was cold. Now, the next day... Now, the next day was what really made me mad. So, I was doing the job of, like, two people out there. The next day, I came in, and Maddie told me, "Thank you for what you did yesterday, but could you be a lot faster?" And that was what made me mad. Because I was the only one outside there brushing off the cars with a snow rake. you guys don't know what a snow rake is, it's basically a piece of foam on a stick and used to shovel off, well, used to push the snow off your vehicles and stuff. And she told me to hurry up the next time I did it. Now, when I said something back, she'll say, okay, which I'm fine with that. But her grandfather was the owner, and the grandfather's name, and his name was Frank. And Frank was a very unhappy man. And he was an older guy. And the one day I came in, well, no, Frank stopped by, and Frank screamed at me for talking back to the sales manager, Maddie. And I just said, okay, won't happen again. And ever since that day, every time I walked in, Maddie gave me a dirty look. And I have one that was also a detailer there. Okay? So, I was a detailer. Okay? There was stickers on the rims of the car you had to peel off. Now, they did not want us to use a razor blade because it was scratching, and which is understandable. But they did not give us any adhesive remover. So I was there using my fingernail, so I was trying to scrape at it. I broke my fingernail, and I got yelled at for it. So that's one story. It's not really much of a horror story. Now there was gives and takes working at it. I got to drive some fancy trucks, some fancy cars. I got to drive a Hellcat Durango. Now, this one particular time, I went to go fill up the gas, and when I went to go fill up the gas, okay, it wasn't gas, it was diesel. I think it was diesel. But there was no card reader up there on the diesel thing, or whatever. And I needed to get the receipt every time. So I went in, and the lady was giving me a difficult time. So I went back and I said, I went inside the building and I told them, look, I need the receipt. And it was an older lady. She said, it's been over 3 minutes. We can't get your receipt. But then her another thing came in, and they printed the receipt out for me. And when I looked, when I looked back and I said, thank you, have a nice day, the lady that said they can't give me my receipt because it's been over 3 minutes, she gave me the nastiest look. Like, she looked like she genuinely wanted to kill me. But I think the gas station was also owned by Frank. Now, when I used to, well, what else happened there? One particular time we've had a light, well, a fan slash light explode in the bathroom, and I cleaned it up. There was like this plastic, silly string everywhere. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like this black plastic, silly string, and it looked like cobwebs. It really did. I just took a vacuum, sucked it up, no big deal. But the black residue, it went and it formed, well, it fused to the paint. Now, I was sitting there scrubbing for at least 20 to a half an hour, and nothing. So I told the, wasn't the sales manager, it was the no, I think it was the service man. Yeah, it was the service manager. And his name was Kyle. Now, I liked Kyle. He was a definition of a good boss. Now, so he told me to he said he'll give me the company card. He told me to go down to Ace Hardware. And he wanted me to pick up a magic wipes. I think that's what it's Mr. Clean magic wipes. Now, I think that's what they're called, but it was this wipes which is supposed to take anything off of anything, really. And now, instead of it taking the residue off the wall that fused to the paint, now it did not take the residue off, but I went back to Kyle, and Kyle wasn't there. Now, typically I would have waited, but it was nearing closing time, and I wanted to go. I did not want to stay there any longer, so I made the mistake of telling Maddie. Now, Maddie was a very unhappy person. She hated me from the beginning because I told her, look, I cannot go any faster because I'm one guy out there in the freezing cold. And basically, what happened was, the best way I can put this, she physically, not really physically, but she grabbed me by my hand, took me into the bathroom, and she wanted me to show her. Now, I'm keep in mind, nobody was in the building at the time, thank God, but she took me by my hand, dragged me into the well, not really dragged me, but walked me to the bathroom. And so, she told me to show her what was going on. And she said, well, have you tried doing it for a half an hour? And so, I wasn't going to argue with her because I didn't want to get screamed at by Frank. Now, oh, sorry. But, what was I saying? But I didn't want to get screamed at by Frank. Now, I wasn't going to argue because it was like, I want to say an hour till closing time. So I was just going to say, I'll just sit there, do this. She watched me do that for a half an hour. And she said, "Oh, why won't it come off?" She was acting like it was my fault that that black residue fused to the wall. Okay. So my favorite part of the well, she acted like it was my fault. But my favorite part of it all was I didn't get yelled at by Frank, but typically she said no, I already said that. But she said that, well, she didn't say it, but she was implying like it was my fault. And that's my favorite part of it all. Now, this one other particular time when I used to work there. Now, I've only worked there for 6 months before they laid me off, because they hired a company to do what I did. But my favorite time I particularly worked there was, well, the worst time I've worked there was, I'm trying to think. Well, it wasn't really bad, but I guess I could tell. I guess I could tell the tire incident. So there was a service shop, okay, and they had a bunch of used tires. Now, keep in mind that typically after every week they'll let the tires go. Well, they'll take the tires to the yard, but the guy who was the lotman before me, he never took the tires out. And when they asked me to take the tires out, like, what's the best way I can put it? So, imagine like a big pyramid, like farther than my arm width, which is like 5 feet. So imagine like a 12 feet pyramid, and every one it was like went like that. So one was be up there, 2 will be down there, 3 will be down there, and imagine it being 12 feet. But basically, they had a box truck. Now, I had to load the tires into the box truck by myself. Okay. And keep in mind, it was the middle of winter. Now, it wasn't snowing, thank God. But there was ice inside the tires because it would rain. Well, it would snow, then the snow will melt inside the tires. So when I went to go pick it up, I had a bunch of ice cold water. Now, I wasn't wearing my snow pants, but I had a bunch of ice water get on like my regular pants like these. So it's regular sweatpants. And I did not catch hypothermia, thank God. But I will load them into the truck, okay? I will do not one row. I would do I would make a line of 1 tires, like 1 tire would go there, 1 tire would go there, 1 tire would go there. And when it hit the wall of the box truck, I would do I would stack the tire on the first one, like 1, so it would be 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, etc. And basically, I was the only one out there doing it again. No help. But this one particular time, well, the only time I did it, because they did not have me do it again. But when I went and I was getting close to being done with it, the tires I would put in there, it was freezing. And I would basically stack. And there's one particular time I was throwing the tires in, like picking it up and twist. Now, this particular time I twisted, and I don't know what happened, but this sudden jolt of pain went from here all the way up to here. And now, keep in mind, I'm not a big guy. I'm relatively thin. I have some muscle right there, obviously. But, yeah. And nobody was out there, so I was just sitting there on the truck. Wow, I was just sitting there on the end of the box truck, like sitting there like that. And when I would sit like that, now we had two mics working. We had old guy Mike and we had young guy Mike. Now, young guy Mike was sleeping with the sales manager. And I think he still works there. When I went to go take my truck in, he was there. But, basically, he was there. And when I was there, this one time in specific. Now, I did not like young guy Mike. He was lazy. And when I mean I had to do the work of two people, I was doing his work. Because he wouldn't do it. But he asked me, "Why are you laying there? Get back to work." He was acting like he was my boss. So then old guy Mike came out and he said, and he knew I was in pain. So old guy Mike asked me, "Hey, what's going on?" I told him what happened, and he said, "Okay, you can go. Okay, go in and lay down for a bit. Maybe you still in shock or whatever." And when I went in there, now I was beginning to feel like, do you know how? Well, I had frostbite in both my hands because I didn't bring gloves. I asked them for gloves when I did it, and they didn't have it, but I just still did it anyways. But they made me fill out the injury report. Now, young guy Mike, he asked me if I was from the hood. And I think he asked that because of my ringtone on my phone. It was Eminem. But that was pretty much what I remember happening, to the best of my knowledge. And no, I want to say young guy Mike. He asked me to do something in specific, but I don't remember what. It'll come to me. Oh, okay. That was what he asked me to do. So he asked me to help him move the Dodge Hornet. It's like a small SUV, like a Toyota RAV4 or Explorer, but Dodge makes it. And he asked me to move one of the Hornets. Now, this Hornet was not programmed. Well, at least I don't think it was. I don't think it was programmed. And basically, it stopped in the middle of the road. And I told him this. And he said, "Oh, okay, it's fine to drive. It's fine to drive. It's fine to drive." Now, across from they were parked in the detail shop, and the detail shop is like only not even a 1 minute walk from the Dodge dealership. And when I went to go in there, I was driving out. Everything was going fine, but then it stopped. So I put my hazards on, and I stopped. It shut off on me in the middle of driving. So I pulled off to the side of the road, put my hazards on, turned it back on. And he asked me, "Well, what kind of move was that?" So I told him what happened. And he said, "Well, it wouldn't shut off unless you pressed something." And I didn't press anything. And I don't know why he asked me to do it. But he said in particular that it was my fault. It shut off on... I didn't press anything, keep in mind. It shut off on me. And I got yelled at for it. I don't get it. Now, I've moved a couple of vehicles when I worked there. They did some remodeling and all that. They had me put license plates on, but let's be honest, that wasn't that bad. Now, I just used my car, because I used my car to put the license plate on, because it was the middle of winter, it was cold, and I'm not going to be sitting out there freezing. And I did not get yelled at for that, but it was actually a pretty smart idea, because I just put the license plates in my car so I don't have to carry and all that. That was a pretty smart move on my end. I did not get yelled at for that one, though, surprisingly. I want to say this one time, too. I got yelled at for doing something I did not do. So, they said I was flying out of the lot in my car. I was not flying. I was maybe going 10, maybe 15 miles an hour. It's nothing that bad. I could easily stop and do whatever. But I got yelled at for it. And yeah. They asked me, they said, "Look, you can't do that." I just said, "It wasn't me. I don't know what she's talking about." Now, I think the one that said that was Joyce. Now, Joyce was a sweet little old lady. She would never do anything. And don't think Joyce has done anything in particular to me but that. Now, oh yeah, I've also worked at Darien Lake too. Now, I've only worked there for a few weeks before I started working in construction. Now, construction has its give and takes. I like working in there. What the hell is that thing? Okay, never mind. I thought that was something. But, put that in there. But construction has its give and takes. But I will get to that soon. Now, when I used to work at Darien Lake, it was Six Flags. Now, when I remember off the top of my head was... Okay. So, the food guy there, he was hitting up on one of the regional workers, I think. No, not regional workers. But what were they called? they would like come in on these buses. Now, they were from Nigeria, I want to say. But he was hitting on one. I cannot remember his or her name, though. But he would hit on her every day. It made me very uncomfortable. But he was a nice dude. After we ate and cooked the food, we would eat it. But I think he didn't do anything in particular. But we had this one, wasn't a manager, but I don't know if the guy that was hitting on her was a manager or not. But we had this one, he was the boss of the guy that was hitting on her. But anyways, we had this guy named Nick. Now, Nick was a very angry man. No smile on him at all. I was trying to make a few jokes with him, but he was always serious. Now, Nick was very business and corporate minded. He did not care about no employees at all. Now, when I was talking to Nick for just a little bit, he was angry. Very angry. Now, when Nick particularly came up to me, the only interaction I've ever had with Nick was my hat was on backwards and he told me to face it straight so I could show the Six Flags logo. I think I still have the shirts. I have to resist it. Well, this is the best example I can get of it. So basically, I had two options. I had a blue sweatshirt with no hood that said Six Flags, like right there. Now, let me go look. Is this it? Nope, there's a button, but I think it's in my car. Maybe one of them. But imagine this, a sweatshirt but with no hood at all, and it would say Six Flags right there. Now, when it was also a sweatshirt. It was kind of like this one, but it was blue. And said Six Flags on it. And we also had a t-shirt that was exactly like this, but without the black stripes, and it said Six Flags right there. But I'm getting off topic. But this one day, my t-shirt was ripped in the back, and I asked them for a new one. And they did not give me one. So it was like an 80-degree day, and we had to wear the Six Flags outfit. It was, although I never wore it, I always wore sweatpants because I can't wear khakis or jeans for a long period of time. They're just too uncomfortable. I will never wear them. But when I had that on, now, what's the best way I can put this? It was like 85 to 80-degree weather, and I had the sweatshirt on, and my Apple HomePod fell down. But I had the sweatshirt on. Now, it wasn't like this, the smooth stuff. It was like that. It was like this. Like that. And basically, it was like an oven the whole day. So as soon as I got to my car, I took it off and I had like a t-shirt, like like this on. And the next day, I had a complaint about me. And it was about me smelling bad. Okay. And it wasn't my fault. I put deodorant on that morning like I do every day, like every regular human being. But when I'm in a sweatshirt, you tend to sweat a lot. And then the sweat dries up, then it begins to smell. Then the whole outfit smells. And that's what I told them. And they said, okay, we'll see what we can do about it. Next day, thankfully, wasn't that warm. I still had the sweatshirt on. But 1 week went by. Now, imagine 1 week. Now, I washed that thing every day. 1 week went by. And they still haven't got me a new t-shirt. And when I used to... Well, when I used to... when I... No, wasn't used to. So I went up to the employee services and I said, hey, look, it's been 1 week. What's going on? And they never had any record of it too. That's the best part. They had no record of me asking for a new t-shirt. Okay, and it was a different lady there. And they had no record of me asking for one. And I had an ID badge. Let me see if I can find it. I think it may be up here, actually. Is it? It may be in here. Maybe in this one, actually. Well, I can't find it, but I had an ID badge, and I lost that ID badge. So, I just didn't have one on. Nobody said anything. But when I used to work there, they did not say one thing to me about me not having an ID badge. Now, let me try to get a picture and see what it looks like. But, hang on. But yeah, it basically looked like that. Now, when I lost it, we had a code to go and put a time in. Now, I don't think I ever got paid for that day. Now, it's still a mystery because they would not give us pay sheets. But basically, my pay was lower than it looked. I wasn't going to argue with them. They didn't give us pay sheets. And then if I'm in the wrong, I may get fired. Blah, 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 blah. But that one particular day, yeah, I don't think anything happened on that day. I'm trying to think what else could have... I'm trying to think of what else happened, because there was a few other times, too. Retail? No. I have never worked in retail though. But I had a friend who had. Well, I had a friend who has. Y'all may know him. But I have this, well, I have this friend named Jay. Now, he used to work at Tops. Now, if you are not from New York, Tops is basically like, what do you guys have down south? Food Lion, Kroger's, Costco, well, but it's basically a grocery store. Now, this one particular time, he had this kid named Andrew. Not gonna say his last name because privacy reasons. But he had this kid named Andrew. And Andrew was an asshole. We went to school with us, but he stole alcohol from the store, and he didn't get, well, I think he got fired. He may have got fired, he may not have, I don't know. But basically, he stole alcohol. Now his mom also worked at Tops, and she's the sweetest lady. I don't know how she raised a son like him, but he stole alcohol from Tops. And my friend Jay had to do all of the work himself. At least I think. Don't quote me on that. I think he did. But he had some rude customers, obviously. It's working in retail. I have never worked in retail. I've worked in food and... does working in a car dealership count as retail? I don't know. I worked in detail and I was a lotman. So, up to you guys. Now, nothing in particular really happened there. We had the lady named Alexa, but she didn't do anything. Really, she didn't do anything to me, but she just never did it work. She was always in the back on her phone, which I don't know. I got yelled at for being on my phone because I got cameras up there. I've maybe gotten yelled at for being on my phone like once, maybe. But my favorite part of working in Lotman was probably the walks outside. Because I would take the trash out one at a time. So I can get I can get my hours in. Maddie noticed it, and I think Maddie had it out for me. But I think she had it out for me. But I think she had it out for me since the day I started working there. She first noticed me when I was working in as a detailer. I don't think anything in particular else happened there, but I don't generally remember anything that happened there though. Working in construction though, I have this one particular time. Now, I was out in Dansville. Now, keep in mind, working out in Dansville, it was hot. And I mean, record-breaking heat. Like, high 90s. Now, I had jeans on, obviously, because safety equipment. But it was very hot. And, well, this one particular day, it was beginning to rain. I worked through, but when it began thundering and lightning, we all packed up and left, obviously. It's nothing too bad, nothing that, blah, 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 blah. But nothing really happened there. I honestly like doing construction. It's not that bad. Generally don't know exactly though. But nothing really happened there though. Like nothing really happened, so but yeah. Nothing really happened though, so nothing really happened there. That's gonna probably be the end of this video for now. I may have a part 2 though if I can think of anything else that happened. But SPCA wasn't bad though. Probably the worst job I worked though was definitely Darien Lake. I did not like it there. Messy, rude customers. Yeah, that was pretty much it though. Nothing. Yeah, that's gonna be it off the top of my head. Now, this video did not have a script, and it's currently 1:36. But yeah, pretty much nothing really happened. This was basically the outfit I had, but without the t-shirt. But I did not wear shorts because I didn't have any, so it's whatever. But I just wear casual black pants, and that's pretty much all I can think of. Yeah, pretty much all I could think of really. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video. If you guys liked, commented. If you guys liked the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And yeah, next time, this is Scrappy Gaming, and I am out.